Hello everyone, today we're going to be discussing part 3 of my ECE 5000 design project, which is creating a retro games player using a Raspberry Pi Zero and an Xbox Series X controller. Today we're going to be just going over the circuit I've made so far, as well as some gameplay on the emulator. So as we can see here, we have an Xbox Series X controller, and with the front panel and the back panel taken off, as well as we have a Raspberry Pi Zero attached to the controller and the necessary connections for the emulator to work correctly. So we have a micro HDMI to HDMI connection, which connects to a monitor, which will be shown in a moment, as well as we have a Raspberry Pi Power, which is connected just to an outlet at your house, or it can be connected to the monitor. And finally, we have a data connection between the board and the Xbox controller. So this allows for the controller data to go into the Raspberry Pi and let the emulator work correctly, and as well as it powers the Xbox controller. So to turn on the console, we have to use this Raspberry Pi switch here. We click this. This will allow for the controller to be turned on. So now the controller is on, and now we can turn on our display. And we can see that the emulator will begin to load up. We now wait for the Emulator emulator to load up. And now we are greeted with the main menu for the emulator. Once the emulator is loaded, we can briefly go over and see that there's a variety of different retro gaming systems we can play from. These have been downloaded on my laptop using the micro SD card, and then put back into the Raspberry Pi. So we can choose between our games, as well as we can go into the menu, for example, and we can look at a variety of different options, which include game settings, controller settings, interface settings, and a variety of other tools that help you model this emulator however you want. So now we will go into a game. We will play Super Mario Bros. So we'll briefly play the first level of this game. As we can see, we can use the left analog stick to move forwards and backwards, and we're using the B button on the controller to jump. Overall, the game plays relatively smooth, and the controller buttons, there's no real delay. It plays very smooth. So now that we've covered the implementation of the project, including some gameplay, as well as just going over the current setup of the Xbox controller and the Raspberry Pi, I'd like to briefly discuss some next steps that will make this project a little bit better. So the main issue right now is eliminating the bulky wiring. This includes the Xbox controller data and the Raspberry Pi USB in cable. This needs to be shortened. One cable that will remain the same is the micro HDMI to HDMI connection, as there's not really anything you can do to shorten that. The way around this, and to make this look better, would be to include the enclosure around the back of the controller as follows. Now to do this, there is going to have to be a cutout made right here that will allow for this main block to stay there, as well as for the cables to escape somewhere up the top. So this will be included in the next step of this project. But overall, I hope you enjoy the project, and I hope you enjoyed the demonstration.